This is our July meeting. As you know, we do business the last week here and get ready for July. And of course, next week will be our July 4th celebration on the 3rd. We did not have the sign-up sheets up there in time, but if there's anyone here that is not signed up that would like to speak during the citizens' comments, I'll give you an opportunity to do that. Okay? With that being said, welcome to the July meeting of the Farmville Board of Commissioners. Thank you for being here. The business of the town will be conducted. Let the record show that Dr. Hobbs is with us by telephone. All other commissioners are present, town attorney and town manager. With that being said, if you choose to and you wish to, would you please stand as I ask Paul Ellis to deliver our invocation, after which Commissioner Smith will deliver the pledge.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Let us pray. Father, we come before your wonderful throne of grace, giving thanks for all the blessings you have given each of us. We thank you for this day. We thank you for the gift of life. But most of all, we thank you for your Son, through whom we may have eternal life. Father, we pray for our country, our state, and our town. Bless our mayor and commissioners with wisdom as they make decisions tonight that may affect all of us. Father, we ask you to keep your loving arm of protection around all of us and help us to do your service. It is in your Son's precious name that we humbly pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Commissioner Smith.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thank you for being here. That being said, did anyone sign up for citizen comments? Amy, I didn't see any back there. So we're good. We'll move on. Town manager's comment, Mr. Hodgkins.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Just have a few quick items. First of all, the mayor did mention the Independence Day celebration. We have that in Farmville on July 3rd, so that everyone can enjoy another fireworks celebration the next night if they so choose. We've got events on the town common from 6 to 9:30. Tar River Band is providing music and fireworks at nightfall. We've got Kona Ice. We've got hot dogs from the Farmville Cub Scout Pack 25, and Parks and Rec department folks will be out there promoting fall sports sign-up. So that's coming up next week. Also, I sent out I don't know if Zach's here. I don't see him. So anyway, I sent out an email from Zach Hackney earlier. And I talked with him last week, he wanted to invite the community, all of you, and the community at large to the Farmville Community Garden Picnic and Open House. It's this coming Saturday, the 29th, from 5:30 to 8:30. It is at the garden, and come and see all the exciting things going on at the community garden. Everything's free and open to the public. So he was hoping to be here tonight, but he said he wasn't sure if he would be here. And then I think Melissa Alexander will talk about this in more detail, but we've got the Rub and Shoulders Barbecue Festival Saturday, July 27th, Duck Rabbit Brewery, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm sure I'll let her say more on that later on in the meeting. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions, town manager? Dr. Hobbs, you have any questions?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to the financial report. Board, you just had a one-sheeter handed to you. Any questions for Amy on the financial report? Seeing none, that'll bring us down to changes, additions, deletions to the agenda. Anything you'd like to take off, or is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Commissioner Smith has made a motion that we accept the agenda as presented. Any comments? Dr. Hobbs, all in favor say aye. Dr. Hobbs, your vote first.
Aye.
Board, your vote? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Dr. Hobbs. Next, in your packet, you have a declaration, a proclamation of declaring July is Recreation and Parks Month. That is all the way up the ladder to the U.S. House. The United States government recognizes it also. We recognize the benefits. And Christopher, I think you have a copy of the proclamation. So thank you for all you do for Recreation and Parks and the splash pad. I don't have the word. I could say off the hook, off the reservation, but the young'uns are having a good time, and so are the grown folks. So thank you for what you're doing down there. Great job. So we have declared July is Park and Recreation Month, and the best of luck on July the 3rd. That is a huge event for us, so thank you for that. Next item is a public hearing. This public hearing is concerning the floods damage prevention ordinance. David, have you got this? Justin, you got this? This is a public hearing. Presenter on this will be Justin. Justin.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. As mentioned, this is public hearings for a amendment to the town's flood damage prevention ordinance. Staff, at the direction of the North Carolina Department of Public Safety, the Emergency Management and Hazard Mitigation Section, they have requested us to amend our flood damage prevention ordinance to bring it into compliance with both state and federal guidelines. As a part of North Carolina Emergency Management's community assistance visit here on April 16th, the town's flood damage prevention ordinance was reviewed to ensure compliance with all state and federal guidelines. Upon review, emergency management staff noted that there were a few new definitions, some existing definition revisions, and one definition that was removed entirely, and this was requested to bring our flood damage prevention ordinance into compliance. Staff has addressed these comments. They've since been reviewed again by North Carolina Emergency Management. They've given their approval to them, and so what we're asking this evening is for the board to adopt these amendments as presented in your packet.
Okay. Anybody have a question of Justin at this point? This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone? Seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Justin, back to the podium for questions, comments, and a motion. Board? Dr. Hobbs, do you have any questions?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Anybody on the board with any questions? Is there a motion? What they're asking for is to recommend approval of the requested amendment to the flood damage prevention ordinance.
I will make a motion that we approve the code of ordinance for flood damage.
Commissioner Smith has made a motion that we approve the request. Is there any discussion? Dr. Hobbs, I'll ask you for your vote first. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Board? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you for that. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item for consent. Board, you've had an opportunity to look at that. Is there a motion, questions, or any concerns with the items for consent? Is there a motion?
I will make a motion then that we accept the items for consent.
Commissioner Smith has made a motion that we accept the items of consent. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Dr. Hobbs, your vote.
Aye.
Board, your vote. Aye. Any opposed? Items of consent are good. Now that brings us down to items for discussion and or decision. First one up is the Chamber of Commerce activities. Ms. Alexander, come on down.
Thank you, Mayor Moore and Commissioners. Do you guys need a copy of the materials? I'm guessing you do.
They do not, no.
Okay, it looks like a lot, but I will go through this very fast. David had asked that I prepare several updates to present to the commissioners and our mayor and the town, and so I will go over those. Some of the items that I'm going to go over today basically highlight everything that I've been doing since I've been in this role. Accomplishments are focused on everything that I had to do when I came into the role. And so in early December 2023, the Chamber promoted our businesses by way of hosting a Taste of Farmville, which included our first ever Taste of Farmville Barbecue and Brews event. One of the things that I've been charged with is raising some funds for the Chamber to restore its financial position to something that's a little bit healthier. And so with that particular event, by way of sponsorships and ticket sales, we raised over $1,700. And then, thank you. On April 20th, the Chamber held its first annual Farm to Table Spring Soiree. And this year, we've launched a series of events that promote everything about Farmville. And so everything is supporting our local businesses, sourcing local foods, doing the best that we can to do everything locally here. And so that particular event, we featured a food and wine pairing with locally sourced foods, as many as that we could get that were in season, and each of the restaurants were asked to incorporate those into their meal and menu items. And so with that particular event, we raised over $16,900. We netted an income of $8,300 for that particular event, and basically it was a sold-out event. And I see that 4 of our commissioners were actually here, are here today, that were at the event today. So they were able to share in the fun of that festive event as well. In addition, the Chamber has been doing some things gearing up to make the Chamber more profitable with its membership, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But one of the things that the board did before I entered this role was they had approved an increase in our membership dues. I will tell you they are very, very reasonable still, even after that membership increase. Just to give you an idea, when I was in the New Bern Chamber of Commerce for my individual business with 1 member, it was $435. For an individual business with 1 to 3 members, it's $50 in Farmville. So just to give you some perspective on how reasonable our membership dues are still, even after that increase. So we also changed over from a multi-year membership where people could actually save a little money if they were to buy a 1, 2, or 3-year membership. And it was kind of an accounting nightmare. And so we went to a calendar year membership, and that has proven to be very successful. And the other thing we did was we started sending out invoices. And so now we invoice every January. The Chamber has launched 2 new membership initiatives, our Ambassador Program and our Aspiring Professionals Group. And these 2 particular programs are very important because the Ambassador Program is how I build a volunteer base, and I am typically busy at Chamber events, so I need somebody else there that can talk to people, that they can mingle, that they can welcome new members, and they can do things that really represent the forward face of the Chamber. And so we launched the Ambassador Program for that. The second thing that we launched is the Aspiring Professionals Group, which is essentially a young professionals group. And this particular organization is in its infancy. It's a membership organization, and they will actually have membership dues and kind of become self-supporting eventually. We're so small right now that we're in our recruitment phase, so we're really not that big. I think I have about 5 or 6 members at this current time. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm bringing in the Pitt-Greenville Pitt-Green County Chamber Young Professional of the Year, Carly Moore, and she will be speaking to the group on July 1st. And it's kind of a mixer and a social. So our young professionals and our aspiring professionals can actually, have a little bit of an inspiration to kind of kick it off. And so I'm kind of excited about that. This young lady works with my husband, and she's really on fire. She's awesome. The Chamber assisted Jen White and the team with Our State Magazine with an event on March 18th. And essentially this particular event was an event that was recognizing all of the travel and tourism industry that works with Our State Magazine. By way of doing that, they hosted an art crawl, which is an amazing concept. And so the Chamber helped them get the event off the ground and do all of the legwork behind the scenes. By way of doing that, our Chamber was awarded with the Greenville Pitt County Convention and Visitors Bureau as one of the outstanding tourism partners by providing that assistance for our state magazine. We've also held 3 ribbon cuttings and 4 business after hours. So those focus mostly on the accomplishments that we've been able to do. In terms of the goals that the chamber would like to do, in the year ahead, I'd like to grow our membership base to 150 members. We currently have 107 as of June 21st. In the year ahead, I would like to conduct a board select and call recruiting event where my board members contact 5 prospective members to earn their membership. This is also about relationship building. Folks in this community have relationships that go very long and deep, and it's beautiful when you see those work. This was a recommendation from one of our board members, Jason Harrell. I'd also like to launch monthly chamber chats at the chamber office where folks can gather with me once a month to discuss various needs in the community and continue to offer counsel to those needing counsel. On average, I counsel probably 1 to 2 businesses every week. Those people just having questions and not knowing how to navigate certain situations. By being a business consultant in my other life, that's actually come in very helpful by helping some of these businesses do some things. I'd also like to bring in 1 to 2 influencers or speakers for Mixer Social for the APG group. So the first one I've already scheduled, the second one I'd like them to pick and select who they'd like that to be. I'd also like to bring in interesting expert speakers that benefit our general membership. Maybe that's on tax law, maybe it's on the new forms that are being required by our government, things like that that help our businesses function appropriately in the realm of business. I'd also, I put on there, just successfully manage all of the events that the chamber will be holding, and that is the spring soiree, the barbecue festival. We are also going to have an October festival and, of course, a Taste of Farmville. And then increase the chamber revenue so I can eventually bring on a full-time person. I did want to mention that Terry Bazin, who's our current bookkeeper, has expressed an interest in coming on board, and so she definitely would like to be considered in that role. The revenue sources that the chamber actually solicits revenue from are their membership dues. As of June 21st, we've collected almost $11,000 in membership dues. The sale of Farmville license plates, those are nominal. It's only forecasted to be around $300. The sale of cookbooks, again, forecasted to be around $300. And of course, the town supports the chamber as well. And just a couple highlights. Since I've been in the role as the executive director, we've taken in 1,268 in donations, and our gross event revenues have been over 18,000. And then the chamber events have netted 1,700 with Taste of Farmville barbecue and 8,300 with the spring soiree. I anticipate raising about 1,500 with the barbecue festival, and that event is more of a community event. It's not a fundraiser event. It's just to do something fun in the community. Eventually we'll probably get there, but it's not there yet. A first-year event always takes some time. And then in October, I hope to raise 4,000 at that, maybe more. I anticipate that one to be highly attended. And the year-over-year membership summary that David had asked for, what I did was the files in the chamber, when they moved, some of the files are incomplete. So I'm trying to piece together things, and so we have stuff on the computer, and then we have hard files, like hard copies in the files. So I pulled together what I could find in the files. In 2018, we had 182 members, and the dues collected were 8,370. In 2019, I found a list that said we had 100 members, but they didn't note how much they had collected. So I don't know. We could probably search history to find that. Then in the multi-year memberships, when they switched over to that, in the years 20 and 21, they had I put 1,111. It's meant to be 112. I apologize for that. That's an error. It's 112 members, and their dues were 7,250. In the years 21 oh my goodness, I made a couple of errors in these years. I apologize for that. In 2021 and 2022, again, that multi-year membership, there were 67 members and dues were 1,690. I attribute that drop because maybe people paid the previous year. That's the only thing I can attribute that to. And then since I've been in the role, we have 107 members, and we have 10,940 in dues. And then if you look here, you're going to see the barbecue and brews flyer. This particular event will be held July 27th, and this event is again meant to feature our local businesses here in Farmville. And so Duck Rabbit and Gorham's are my title sponsors. They're on my committee, and Tucci's Fired Up has also agreed to be on that committee. And we will be, the event will be structured with an area that is a little bit more adult. The people can grab beer, there'll be wine tasting. And then we have a kid zone, and there will be vendors. So we have 10 by 10 tents and then a food truck area for that. And the vendor application is $150. If they pay in advance by an earlier deadline, they'll save $40, so it's very affordable. And then next to that, right behind it, is the sponsorship package that I've created. These sponsorships are very affordable. Some of our events have pretty pricey sponsorships, but these are very affordable. And that way it gives all businesses a fair opportunity to sponsor an event if they choose to do so. And then finally, on the very back, we go to our Oktoberfest. I just wanted to kind of give you this so you could save the date. I've been working with Phil Lewis, and he has offered Maylou Farm. And so this particular event will be the first Saturday in October, and that will be Saturday, October 5th. It will be from 6 to 10 p.m. And I hope to be working with securing proper talent for this. So it will be Carolina Shag Music, and the event will again feature everything that is sourced locally. I already have secured Smithfields as a sponsor for that, and so we will be working with our local pork providers or Piggly Wiggly to provide those, and then I'll be working with a local caterer to provide all the other things, even from handmade or hand-baked rolls to hand-baked pretzels and things like that. So all of those things will support local businesses here in Farmville. And that's it.
That's all?
That's it. Any questions? I probably talked too fast, sorry.
No, this is probably one of the most in-depth reports that we've had. I'm just a little bit confused.
Okay.
Over here it says Taste of Farmville. Okay, does that tie into the December event we do? It's a tad bit confusing to me.
So what I tried to do this year was, it was actually upon the recommendation of Bert. Bert and I were having a conversation. He said, why don't you expand the chamber events to quarterly events? And so what I did was I tried to celebrate everything Farmville by a taste of Farmville, farm to table. And so everything that I'm focusing on in my events is taking a taste of Farmville, but making it farm to table whenever possible.
Okay, will you have the first Friday in December that we've had?
Yes.
We will, okay.
Yes.
Because when somebody reads this, that's the first thing they're going to ask. We still got it. Okay,
Oh,
that's all
yeah,
I got.
It's in there. Sorry, I haven't
Board,
done
you got
the
any
flyers.
questions? Dr. Hobbs, I'll go to you first. You got any questions?
No question.
All right. Board, you got any questions? Seeing none. Good job.
All right, thank you.
Good job. We don't have to
Thank you very
vote.
much.
It's kind of like a thermos jug. We don't have to punch any buttons or do anything. It's great. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Well, I hope Bill Stafford is taking care of you also. Good deal. Good deal. All right. That brings us down to contract extension for solid waste services. That's in your packet. David, I'll go to you on this.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, members of the board. As all of you know, GFL Environmental is our contractor for solid waste services, and they've been doing it, I think, since 2004. So they're in their 20th year helping us out. The contract current contract expires June 30th of this year, and they have requested another renewal period of 3 years, which will take it to June 30th, 2027, if approved. In your packet, there is a contract extension amendment to the existing contract. Basically, the terms of the contract are roughly the same. The main changes are things like the actual price that has been, has changed over time. One other thing I wanted to mention was if the board approves this contract amendment or extension, that the first year, they normally are entitled under a contract to a CPI adjustment, but in year one of this renewal period, they will forego that as part of this contract extension, and then pick it up in year two. So we do have representatives from GFL here, if there are any questions of them, but we have seemed to iron out most all of our differences and issues along the way. They're very responsive. I think Wes Thomas would agree that what problems we had in the past, we have worked through, and we don't get the same complaints that we used to. So,
Anybody have any questions? Dr. Hobbs, you got any questions of the town manager?
No questions.
Board, any questions of town manager?
Town manager, how about, these guys have anything to say?
I'll get to that.
Nothing for the town manager right now.
Any questions for the town manager?
Yeah, I just have one question to make sure I understand. So their annual increases are pegged to the CPI, and then this first year, we're not going to increase at all. And then the second year, we're only going to increase, we're not going to go back and get 2 years worth of increase in the second year. We're just going to get the 1 year increase. Okay, during the second year. Okay. That's the only question I have.
Anybody else got a question of the town manager? Now, Commissioner Smith, go get it.
No, I was just wondering if you guys had anything to say. Out of curiosity.
Be very brief.
All right.
Everybody, I'm Pat Luce, I'm the government contracts manager, and this is Mike Cavanaugh. He's the general manager that services y'all. As David stated, we've done this contract since 2004, and we've always enjoyed our relationship with the town. I think we've been pretty responsive if anything's gone sideways. The best contracts and agreements are when they're win-win, and I think this has been a win-win for both of us. But we'd love to continue our relationship and just move forward.
Just out of curiosity, you do any other municipalities in Pitt County?
Yep. Got
Crick,
yeah, Crick.
Simpson,
Yeah.
Frankfurt.
Y'all just changed the yard waste pickup until the
Friday.
Wednesdays to Fridays. Was it last year?
Yes.
Yep.
And how's that work? Because there was a problem with the availability of a truck or something, wasn't it?
Yes, it's a unique truck that we use for it because of the containers that we have out in the city, or the town. So it sometimes wasn't available. Friday was a better day for us to be able to service it and not have any issues. So.
I will say, we were talking about it before the meeting started, that even the folks who were repeated complainers are now praising the new Friday pickup date because they are getting picked up regularly. And one of the advantages was the truck was available, the special truck, and also if things go wrong, you've got another day, Saturday, the next day, which you don't have any pickup scheduled in Farmville on Saturday, so that would be sort of a, if there's an issue on Friday, you've got the next day rather than having to wait until maybe a few days to finish the route. So.
No, I think they do a great job. I thank y'all for what you did.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Are you done?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for the folks at GFL? With that being said, what they've asked us to do is to approve the contract. So I'll open the floor for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the contract renewal.
Okay. Commissioner Evans has made the motion that we approve the contract. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Dr. Hobbs, I'll go to you for your vote.
Aye.
Board, your vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Mike, Pat, thank y'all for coming. Thank you for the job you do too. I understand the truck breaking down, but this man made it a break. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That brings us to item number 11. Justin, I think you got this. It's approval for Hallmark Townsend subdivision, okay? Go real slow on this one then.
And I've got, I know in your packet you have a smaller copy of the plat map there. If you'd like a larger copy, I do have a couple of maps here if you need that. So what we have before you this evening, Palco Investments is requesting approval of a final subdivision plat for Hallmark Town subdivision. The proposed subdivision consists of 8 lots as well as an open space common area. The average proposed lot size is 9,474 square feet, with the largest lot being 10,508, smallest being 7,700 square feet. All of the proposed lots meet the required lot dimensions as established by the town zoning ordinance for the R5 zoning district. Developers have established covenants for an HOA, and the HOA will be responsible for maintaining the proposed common area. If you take a look on your plat map there, you'll notice that there's a back common area sort of, right in the very back area, and you'll have, several of the duplex or proposed lots that sort of surround that area. That'll be a general common area that will be available, shared by the residents there. The plat's been reviewed by our town's utilities director and identified no issues connecting to the local system for water, sewer, and electric service. No new streets or street names have been proposed, therefore there's no potential duplicates for similar street names in town. The planning board unanimously approved the proposed final plat at their June meeting. Additionally, on that same evening, the Board of Adjustment approved the special use permit request to allow for the development of duplex units. That's what's being proposed on the 8 lots here, or duplex units. Our ordinance requires in the R5 that a duplex use go through the special use permit request process, and that was done at the June Board of Adjustment meeting and approved. So at this point, staff and planning board recommend approval of this proposed final plat. Approval here would then allow the developer to record the plat and move forward with being assigned addresses so that they can begin to pull building permits for this location.
Hold on a second. Dr. Hobbs, you got any questions?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I'll open it up to the board for questions now. Board, any questions of Justin?
Do you have any pictures of what the units will look like?
I have not seen pictures. We haven't received designs on it, no.
I guess once,
Sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
once we approve it, basically they're free to do whatever they choose to at that point. I mean,
So long as it meets,
building.
they'll still have to
Right.
meet the zoning ordinance at that point. They'll
Right.
have to meet all of those requirements. But yes, as far as, at that point, because the Board of Adjustment, it has to say in terms of approving the use of duplex through the special use permit process. Yeah, at that point, they would be able to move forward. They would have that special use permit already granted for duplex.
and everything around there is a single family.
For the most part,
I those are
we
Morgan's
looked at
across
it,
the
it's
street.
sort of transitional. If you look just across Field Street, that's entirely industrial. And then as you work your way back up Pine Street, it goes more so back in at that point to single family.
Mm-hmm.
The rationale with the Board of Adjustment that evening approving the special use permit is that this kind of sits as a transitional zone from industrial moving back into that single family in there. So that was the reason and justification for the approval of the duplex request at that time.
And these, the lots along Field Street, they'll have driveways onto Field Street.
That's correct. Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, so they are they're working right now. That portion of Field Street is DOT maintained, so they are working right now to determine if they will need to pull any DOT driveway permits. But what we've generally done with that in the past, if a driveway permit is required, the town will have that on record before we issue a certificate of occupancy. Along that stretch is a little different than some other instances where we've had development along DOT roadways because there's no curb and gutter there. As you recall, that's where the old restaurant was there on the corner, and it's just you drive right in off fields. There's no curb and gutter there. So whether or not DOT will require the driveway permit, I have not heard yet from them, but what we've done in the past is just if there is a requirement, we do make sure we have that sign approved on hand before we issue a certificate of occupancy.
I guess, I'm sorry. That's the last question I have is, I saw I drive that way to work, I saw the sign out there, special use. Was it advertised in any other way other than that sign, as far as people around there that had a comment?
Yes, so the North Carolina legislative requirements for a special use permit is that we notify all the adjacent property owners by letter as well as post the property, which we did. I received about 3 phone calls from neighboring property owners and just inquiring about what the request was, and they were all okay with the objections.
Okay. That's all I have.
Have you looked at the safety considerations? Field Street's a pretty busy street, and have people pulling in and out of the driveways along there, that might be a little bit dangerous.
And so ultimately, we don't have a restriction in our ordinance that was taught. That's going to probably be more so. DOT sometimes will take that into consideration. I know recently the last DOT maintained road that we had permits pulled on for new development, or the Wilson Towns right out here, and I believe the DOT ended up working out what they ended up requiring. I believe was there was 1 shared driveway and 1 independent drive there. But as far as our ordinance itself, we don't have any mechanism that would prevent it based off any safety study that's done there.
Just out of curiosity, did they look at any alternatives to make the driveways exit onto another street?
It was a tight squeeze, as I'm sure you can tell looking at that plat, trying to get the number of units in there that they were desired to do so. So really there wasn't another alternative way to look at allowing the traffic to flow any other way than to out onto Field Street.
Just seems a little dangerous, but that's okay. Just have to be careful.
Commissioner Evans?
I just got one comment of concern. The Pine Street, Field Street intersection, and then the next street going south. We know we have some drainage challenges in that area. We're increasing the impervious area by adding these rooftops and driveways. I'm just wondering what can be done to improve that, or is that not a conversation for this?
Probably a little more elevated conversation than for this. I know certainly, aware of those issues there, and that's something that we, sought going after some funding to try to, address some of those issues there. But, I think from the, impervious surface, looking at that for the amount of space here, they would still be within the impervious surface limits that we do have. So certainly it's a consideration, but I think it's probably a bigger topic than, what would be surrounding just this development approval itself, so.
And would that be something that the developer would be responsible for, or something that the town would be responsible for in terms of improving the drainage?
More so a town responsibility at this point, because I don't know that we would have any direct, as it currently stands, I know we do have obviously issues there existing. Whether or not, we would have any additional issues because of this, not sure. At this point, they do have the common space area there, so it's not going to be fully developed over. There is a pretty decent sized lot there, and they are leaving a little more space within, trying to squeeze within the buildable lot lines, as you can see on the map here. So it's going to be, pretty, dense in that area, but they are leaving the adequate impervious surface that would be required by ordinance.
Does that answer your question?
I know, just have a concern about how we already have a challenge in that area, and this is not going to necessarily help. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I'm just saying that we got a challenge there.
David, is that something we'll be able to address under the new budget plan that we've?
Well, we have funds set aside for stormwater, management and ditch cleaning out and all that. I'm not sure exactly. I'm familiar with Field Street. I'm not as familiar with that section of Pine Street as far as the drainage issues. The Field Street would be DOT, those ditches. But along Pine, I don't, it's just flat. There's no curb and gutter right along in there. And so
But I think there were some drainage problems on Cotton and Field Street, right at that intersection.
Yeah, but that's
That was-
further down, yeah.
In the next street up?
More, isn't it more? Or,
There.
oh, you're talking about going the other direction. I thought you were going down Fields.
Didn't we just do a lot of work down there? On that street?
On which street?
Field Street. I mean, yeah, Field Street.
Well, Moore Street we did. We haven't done anything on Pine.
Maybe I'm confused.
I think the issue is going south on Field Street, the next block or two, when you turn left off of Field, if you're going.
If the water will come off and go south, it's gonna be a problem. We already have a problem, you know. When you say it's DOT, it's only DOT on the side, is we still have a main ditch that goes under Field Street and drains out through Mestek, Sterling, and all that. So we have an outfall line, so even though it is a DOT road, we got some responsibility in that, because we got a big line going in there, a couple places drained off south from going into agricultural areas. That's the problem. That's one of the reasons we've got a hard time getting ditches cleaned out, because it's not necessarily in our area. We're gonna get some permission from some farmers and stuff like that, get in there and really work the ditches. But if that water does drain south, I understand what Mr. Evans and Mr. Planning are saying, it could be a problem. It could be an additional problem. If some way if it could tie into Pine Street, Church Street, that way, it wouldn't be an issue at all. But if this is going to drain south, I mean, it will contribute to an already known problem. And like I said, the ditches along the side of Fifth Street are, you said the DOT, but we've got two crossings that are drainage that pulls water off the side of the
I think that next street is Moore, isn't it? That's,
You got
okay.
Yeah, you
I
got,
know Moore is where we did quite a bit of work out there, right there in that intersection with Fields, as part of the sewer project.
How much of this would have to be taken care of before the work started to make sure that we don't make it, what were your words?
Well, we got a drainage issue, and I think if that street that, I'm looking at this map here, it doesn't say the name of that street, it may be Cotton, the one that Edward King's house on Cotton. We know there's a problem there, and if we add impervious area on this corner, and all that water's gonna flow south, we know we're gonna take a problem we got and make it worse. That's my only concern. I do share the same concern as Commissioner Smith, that I travel that road 4 or 5 times a day. That's a busy road, people drive fairly fast through there, and it could be these driveways backing out there, but again, I mean, maybe that's something more for, I mean, maybe we gotta look at slowing the speed limit down there. I don't even know what the speed limit is through there.
I know there is current drainage, I don't know the size of the pipe or anything, I don't, ask about it, but there is current drainage on the corner of Pine and Field. It's right in front of where the apartments will be renovated. There is current drainage there on that corner. There is drainage, and some of that drainage is actually going out of the place of residential, so I don't know that's going to get me.
I guess the question before us isn't if they can divide it into 5,000 square foot lots. That's the zone as it is right now, right?
That's correct, yes.
So the question is, can
It's not a rezone, yeah, the question before the board this evening is just the request to divide into, as it's shown here, the 8 parcels in the common area.
But I mean, the 5,000 square foot minimum, which they've exceeded.
Correct.
That's really not a question for us anymore.
That's correct.
That's already in the ordinance.
Yes.
do we have to approve the special use?
No, the special use is approved by the Board of Adjustment. Yes.
I'm sorry. Justin, isn't there I mean, there would be erosion control permit that would be, since you're disturbing so much property, would they look at the entire tract, or would they look at each individual lot?
I believe it would be, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I believe it would be the entire tract, yeah.
So it would exceed it would be more than an acre or something, don't they normally, if you disturb more than an acre, don't they normally have to get a stormwater permit?
I believe so.
Erosion control
Yeah,
permit,
yeah.
whatever. So that's not done by the town, that's done by others.
Was any of this brought up and discussed with the planning board?
The erosion portion, no. There was some discussion about the driveway, but as far as the erosion and potential runoff, that was not discussed at the planning board.
It's not really erosion, it's more like flooding.
Runoff, right.
The stormwater. Now, the subdivision that was just put in across from the high school, they had to put in a stormwater
Potential
project,
rock.
to control the rate of flow. With this development being over 1 acre, would they fall under those same guidelines?
Same type of permit, but I don't think that's a much bigger,
Yeah, I understand it's much bigger, but
I mean, the same permitting entity would be involved in this,
Right.
but what they would require would be, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't think they require a detention pond for something this small, but I don't know. I mean, that's not my.
Yeah, I could be mistaken, but yeah, as David, I don't think that something this size would require the retention pond.
and as far as the stormwater plan, is that approved at the town farm level, or does that go to the,
Oh, no,
office?
that goes, the state level.
State, right, that's the state.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that we actually had, Pitt County Soil and Water, I believe, also reviewed as well, yeah.
Right.
Although, just a question, when they do these places right outside of town, like the Dollar General, weren't they required?
They did, yes,
retention
yes.
pond?
Yeah, that was, and that was the most recent, I was just referring to check with Paul, yeah, we did it, to go through that process with them.
That's a small, pretty small footprint too.
Right.
That may be in a different category too, because it's
Because it's
commercial.
commercial, yeah.
But we're thinking it's a maintenance issue, right? That the ditch just needs to be cleaned out? That's maybe the bulk of the issue, or do we know?
I mean, I think if you ride down Field Street, you look at that ditch that goes between Medtech and those businesses, it's full of water, it dries, it's full of water now. Now, we're going off of, about the actual plant, and it's, they're where they're going to charge them. But it's all water right now. And what I'm saying is I don't have access points to, it's weird, it's been like, we talked about this before, there's lots of, our drainage ultimately goes to ditches. And if I can't get to the ditches, if my guys can't get to the ditches, we can get with the railroad there. It's, we get to a certain point, and then where does the maintenance go? Well, we say it's still on us, but how do we get access to some of these areas? And that's kind of where it's at. And it sounds crazy when I say this, but a lot of it really is, we've done this before, but a lot of it is really dealing with beavers and stuff like that. They dam it all up. They get those ditches, those outfall ditches, they dam it up. It backs up water all in the normal. It's something as simple as that. Getting to them is just difficult sometimes. I think that doing this subdivision or this thing will not be a problem at all for handling the drainage. If we could get in there and probably clean some of these areas better. I don't know. We could look at a county map and see once it gets who owns what, so we can make some phone calls and get in there and clean it. But I don't know how we can access it. That's where it's restricted.
If it's the town's outfall, we have right away to that.
We have right away, we're supposed to.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
We get to it, but it's not always.
We physically.
Physically not always happen. It's not like, even like we have a right, suppose we got a right way that helps us support to like the railroad, but we really can't do these people down that railroad, on that right of way, there's no real right of way. And so, it gets tricky. It's just, we maintain up to a point, and then we're kind of like, we talk to the county, we talk to, soil and water, and try to get them to help us with some of the big controls, some of that stuff, dragging, the creeks out. We work with the county on that a lot, they help us a lot, they help farm a tremendous amount. But, it's not as simple as us just loading a truck and go out there and hit the ditch, I mean.
Well, let me ask you this. The street that Eduardo lives on, how much, in a sentence, how much trouble are we going to create for that street already? 7 inches of rain, they got a problem.
Currently, it will be an additional problem, will be a bigger problem currently, the way it is now.
Okay.
But down Moore Street, the Moore Street crossing was repaired recently, so that should help some. But it's beyond, what's happening is, we're doing our part, we're being good stewards as a town of Farmville. But once it gets beyond our area, who does it belong to? And that's some of these businesses, like they go into agriculture areas, technically they may be ETJ, but they're not necessarily right in town where I can go take this equipment to, I'll give you an example, like we had to go behind there and deal with, problematic. He gave us access to a ditch that we needed to work on. He gave us access to the levers were messed up this morning, as well as that kind of water in town. So he's like, one of the people I can give you examples of, we've had to go to and say, hey, help us get into this area to work. But in other areas, and he may be the one you call now, I guess, I don't know if he owns that now, or farms that, or what, that farmland behind this day, but that's where it's at. That's where a lot of the problem is.
That's some pictures of it there looking towards Field Street. That was a few days after the rain, or the day after the rain. Some pictures
Yeah, all
passed.
that water that we're talking about from south, going under Field Street, through the plants and ended up in the agriculture areas, it then crosses over 264, or 264, goes to Big Ranch and crosses over that way. So this is a big thing. It goes all through those fields and woods, and then it cuts off, goes under the highway, goes to where Thomas's church is at, that area was giving you where it's going to be, that area. It goes under there, catches the creek there, and moves towards, through the woods and to another right of way. And we maintain that, but it's just there's a little point we can't get to. So, maybe with a little bit of help, we can find a way. I think if this is cleaned out, the neighbors are eradicated in day, you can handle that this is a good plan, fine. But right now, we think you're right. I think it would contribute to a already existing problem.
If we don't do something with the ditches.
Yeah.
Railroad's not involved with this because they're working with us now.
Not this,
Okay, I want to make sure. Okay. What do you think, board? While you're thinking, just let me say that P.J. Andrews and Soil and Water Conservation, they have spent a lot of time over here, and they have done a phenomenal job, more so than in the past. They've done a great job, and we do have a relationship now with the railroad. So it sounds to me like we've got another piece of the puzzle that we got to get with somebody on a ditch and figure out how to get to it. Because I do know the street that Eduardo lives on, when we get rain, they got a problem.
Yeah.
Big issue.
Both Cotton and Moore Street have a lot of problems, and I kind of feel like we should probably go ahead and give it approval, but I share a lot of concern about flooding down that way. They're already flooding down that way, and then with increased flooding, it could affect some of these new places.
If you approve this tonight, board, what guarantees do we have that we've not added to the problem? I think that's the question right now that we're trying to sift through. If you approve this, if you approve it, then what's next? Whose responsibility is it to make sure that that water flows? And we've not added a problem to the street that I've mentioned to, and then the street that you mentioned to. So what precaution do we take for that moving forward, and how does that fall in place with a guarantee to the folks that live on that street? I mean, they don't want any more water, and I don't blame them. You got pictures up, we've all seen it. So tell me something, Wes, how do we get through that?
I think we need to talk to PJ and see if I can work with them again, and see what their suggestions are in regards to that. I'll check to see if the current either property owner or farmer, if it is Robert May, I'll speak to him or reach out to him, see if I can get there. And if we can reach out, just caution to the plant, whoever's running Medtech now, whoever the plant manager is, we can talk to them and see what's going on there. I just can't access even their property without permission. But I mean, ultimately, it's going to fall on us. I mean, on me to get that business going.
And I don't know if we approve it or not. I want to be clear, I'm not opposed to this development. I'm just concerned about stormwater, and I don't want to approve a development that's going to make an existing situation worse. It may not be their responsibility to make it better, but we certainly don't want to make it worse. And I don't know how we resolve that. I mean, that may be a McDavid question.
Are we at the point right now with this agenda item that we just need more information? And when I say information, I'm talking guarantees of how we can get it. If you've got to get some type of permission, Wes, to get somewhere, then we need to find that out.
I don't think, I don't think you hold up the development, because ultimately the developer's going to say, well, where's the own, so that you hold up. get all parties and say, this is what we got to do before this is finalized.
And of note as well, before they move forward, just like with the example you brought earlier with the Dollar General that had to go through the same process of permitting, we can kind of be working through those permitting, aspects at the same time that we have some of these conversations with soil and water, and also, see if we can work our way through those at the same time, because, just because we get the approval tonight does not necessarily mean that, they can, begin construction tomorrow. They will have to go through that permitting process, so that would give some time to try to work through those issues.
Okay, what are you going to bring to this board to satisfy the questions you've heard here tonight, so that they got a warm, cozy feeling with if they approve this tonight, what's the next thing they're going to see, so they got a warm, cozy guarantee that the drainage is not going to be an issue? Because I don't think this board, what I'm hearing from this board is they're not comfortable thinking that we're going to have a water issue and we're going to be putting some water where we already got a water problem. I don't think the board's comfortable with that and what I'm hearing. So if we do approve it, then what's the next step that they are comfortable before anybody starts building anything?
In your permitting process, when you sit down with the people that are going to permit for stormwater drainage and runoff and all that, will you bring up the problem, or will the problem come up that there's already an existing issue with flooding in this area?
I think what we'll do is when that's submitted, we would make mention that we do have existing flooding issues in the area. Our office does not handle that review. That's done through the state and through the soil and water conservation with the county. So, but we can relay to them the concerns that the town has because of flooding issues, due to the ditches, that are backed up. So,
But if I understand what Wes is saying, ultimately it's our problem, the town's problem.
Because it's off-site. It's off-site.
When WITN News comes over here and shows the flooding down there, and then they call and say, we want to speak to Commissioner Bobby Evans to talk to him about the flooding. And so, then whose problem is it going to be?
I think I can bring this train to the station here. Hold on a second. Tell me, if you picked up the phone tomorrow and called my friend P.J. Andrews, told him what you were talking about today, what would he tell you? Okay.
And I think that, it's something that can be resolved. I'd love to see where that work's coming from the plant, and I don't know how much we'll get for that. Even though the plant manager is right now, we have to figure out.
Is Mr. Hopgood?
It's Emerson Hopgood.
Mr. Hopgood?
Because there's always water in it, regardless of what kind of crap we're in. So they're putting a lot of water into the system. So I'd like to, see what's going on with that. But I still think everybody can work this out.
I think we really need to find out where that water's coming. If there's water in the ditch right now, I'm impressed that they've got water. I'd like to get some of that in my yard. But it is dry. But I think you need to find out where that water's coming from. I'll make a motion that we approve this and move ahead, but I really do think that we need to work real closely with P.J. Andrews and also Emerson Hopgood and Nestec to find out where all that water's coming from. Because if like I say, if WITN comes over in August when we have the first hurricane and wants to talk to Commissioner Evans, I'm going to be at the beach that weekend.
There is a motion. Chris, work with me on this. There is a motion from Commissioner Smith that we approve this. Is there a substitute motion?
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we table it until we get more information about how we're going to deal with this drainage issue.
I vote on the substitute first, is that right? Commissioner Evans has made a substitute motion that we basically wait till we get more information. Is there any discussion on the substitute motion?
Can we put a limit on that like 30 days or 60 days? I hate.
Would you amend your motion? Would you amend your motion?
What's reasonable, Wes, 60 days?
Well, how about the next?
I'm fine with the next meeting.
Next meeting is
you have the
August
information by
1st.
then.
You want to withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion.
Okay. Commissioner Smith has withdrawn his promotion. The motion before the board is that we table the issue with Hallmark Town subdivision for 60 days, waiting on a full report. Is that right?
I'm sorry.
Unless you think you can do it in 30.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
30
August-
minutes. All right, in 30
August
days.
1st.
Okay, is that the motion?
That's the motion.
It's been, that we tabled this for 30 days. Did I get that right? Everybody good?
Say by August 1st, because that's the next.
Okay, August 1st. All right, we good on that? Discussion. Dr. Hobbs, I hope you stayed with me on that. Your vote.
I did, and that's a very important issue. I say aye to the motion.
Dr. Hobbs voted aye. Board, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Would you do me a big favor and make sure that this team has the information to read prior to the August meeting, and that they may get with you in this, and we'll go to you on this with any questions. That good with the board? All right, thank you. Whew. Good job. That brings us down to the capital project ordinance, Moore Turnage Road water line resolution. Dave, you got this one?
Yes, sir, and I hate that Rich Moore's not here, but he had a conflict at the last second, and he would have been able to weigh in on this last item. And I will mention before we go to this, I know that the Cotton Street area is one of the highest priorities right now for the next stormwater project, as far as grant funded or whatever, so I know that's been a hot area. Okay, before you is a capital project ordinance. This is where DOT is doing some improvements to Moy Turnage Road, and there's a water line the town owns that is in conflict with that project. And because of our size, we are eligible for full reimbursement of the cost of relocating this line. So this is the budget ordinance that would receive the revenue from DOT as far as reimbursement to the town. The town would contract for the work, relocation of the water line, be reimbursed 100% from DOT. So there is no cost to the town for this.
Questions of the town manager? Dr. Hobbs, you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Board, do you have any questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the capital project ordinance for Moy Turnage water relocation.
You've heard the motion from Commissioner Smith. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Dr. Hobbs, I'll go to you for your vote.
Aye.
Dr. Hobbs, aye. Board, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you for that. The next item is an employee referral program. David, this is, you didn't have to reinvent the wheel on this one. You just had to put it on the road. This is a pretty good idea. It's an approved employee referral program. Ms. Hodgins, share with us.
Okay, this is a new policy for the town we're proposing where, as y'all know, it's difficult to recruit new employees at times. It has been. And so we feel like we should do like a lot of other companies and jurisdictions do and offer some sort of referral bonus to our existing employees who are able to successfully recruit others who they may know to, who ultimately then apply and become hired to a full-time position. Under this program, people who aren't involved in the recruitment process, aren't department heads, aren't the town manager, aren't HR, none of those folks that are involved in this routinely would not be eligible. This is sort of your rank and file employee, has a friend that might be interested in working for the town. This would be for full-time hires only. And the referring employee, if is successfully recruit someone, they apply, they're ultimately hired, they work for the town for 12 consecutive months, they are good employees, they pass their probationary period, the referring employee would receive a one-time bonus of $500. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like a finder's fee, but you have to wait until the person's hired, works out satisfactorily for a year, and then they would be eligible for this this bonus. So it's it's a new program to Farmville. It's not a new program to some other governmental jurisdictions, and certainly not a new program for many private employers. So we recommend that the board consider going ahead and approving this.
Questions for Mr. Hodgins? Dr. Hobbs, you have a question? Okay, board, anyone? Is there a motion? Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we adopt the employee referral program.
Thank you there, Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Smith made a motion that we approve the employee referral program. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Dr. Hobbs, I'll go to you for your vote.
Aye.
Dr. Hobbs says aye. Board, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. That brings us down to citizen presentation for anybody that has a question about anything that has happened here tonight. Any question about anything that has happened? Stephen, just one quick, about tonight. About tonight. Okay, make that perfectly clear. Okay, Mr. Hardy-Brass?
I believe that the topic and the question refers to almost everything that occurred here tonight. Because it impacts upon infrastructure, policies, procedures, and personnel. As I've mentioned previously to the town council several times over the last several years, the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed in 1990.
Stephen, may I stop you? How does that, is that going to tie into what we've discussed tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please forgive me, I just want to make sure.
This is a federal law that requires the town to do certain things, and I've yet to see the town do anything about the policies, procedures, or infrastructure regarding the Americans with Disabilities Act. I'd just like to say, I think it's time that we added to all these things. Thank you.
Dr. Hobbs, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I do not have anything to add.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll see you July the 3rd. Anybody on the board have anything they'd like to add before I ask for an adjournment? Seeing none, could I get an adjournment motion, please?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Commissioner Evans made a motion, we adjourned. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Melissa, thank you, ma'am. Melissa and Kearney, could I speak with y'all before you leave?